What's up, everybody? So, as you just saw, I just opened this package up with these pinstripe brushes in it. So a little bit of story time here. Go back into some history a little bit. Recently, I've been trying to teach myself how to pinstripe. Obviously, I've done a little bit of pinstriping. I'm not really good at doing the kind of like the designs, just freehand designs. I can do like the messy slash mark, slash, not really even lines. So I've been practicing a little bit more on that. I've actually got a panel here I'll show you real quick that I practiced on, and it's really not good at all. So don't think it's going to be like some awesome piece or anything like that. It was just something that I threw together. I ended up buying more brushes for myself. I'll show you what I bought. I bought, about $100 worth of brushes here because I wanted more than just one, kind of just to dabble in a little bit of stuff. I really like the scroll type work that people do. So I ordered some scroll brushes and another liner brush. I think it's a MAC right here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a MAC brush. This is what I ordered a few weeks ago. Yeah, can you tell, like, this one I've had for a long time and the rest are new. But yeah, the only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brushes were almost $100. So as you can tell in this package he sent me, comes with this nice case, and I've got 8 here. So you imagine another $100 in brushes that was sent to me. Now this is the art panel that I did. Like I said, it's not good. It's not even at all. It's just something I didn't even mark it. I didn't measure. I just went at it and did it. I clear coated it. It's all candy apple red underneath. I put some paint splatters on it, but it's just really not anything that I'm really proud of at the moment because it's like my work in progress. Before when I started getting into airbrushing, I picked up pinstriping a little bit. It was something that I wanted to learn, but over the years, I devoted most of my time into airbrushing and drawing and things like that, and I just kind of lost touch with the pinstriping thing, so I never got into it. So as I got older now, I want to kind of get back into it because I'm getting a lot of these jobs that require pinstriping, and I've always outsourced. There's a guy here kind of local to me, about an hour away, that I always have him come do my pinstriping if it needs pinstriping on my paint work. But I want to kind of learn and just teach myself. I've been around for a long time. If any of you have been around in this industry for a long time, you know anything about pinstriping. It is very, very difficult. It's a skill in its own, to be honest with you. I think it's probably the hardest thing that I'll have to teach myself to do, because you got to have a steady hand, you have a really good eye, you got to do all, there's symmetry involved in it. Everything's got to be as perfect as possible. The lines got to be all perfect. So it's just something I'm dabbling in right now. But like I said, story time. I got these brushes from an old manager that I used to work for back, it's probably good, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. He managed a place that I used to paint at, not a body shop or anything. It was kind of like industrial type paint work that we were doing. But I painted his motorcycle back then. I put hot rod flames on it, and I had another person pinstripe it. I was never really good at pinstriping, so I always outsourced it. So I did his bike a long time ago. Like I said, it's been probably 10 years ago or whatever, and he still has a bike. He said it still gets awards, even though it's a black bike with, the true color hot rod flames. Hot rod flames, if you don't know what those are, they're just a traditional hot rod flame, and then you pinstripe it. But it had the traditional colors, yellow, orange, and red tips, and then with the kind of like a teal blue pinstripe along with it, and clear coated and everything. And it came out really good. But he loves it, and he's always kept in contact with me over the years. And he saw me do that panel, as I posted it on social media and was like, hey, I've got these pinstripe brushes I've had for years. As long as you give me a demo piece, I'll ship them to you. He's not very far away. He lives within like 40-50 minutes of where I live, so he's not far away, but just for him to do that for me and, you know, to give me something that he's used in the past. I don't know too much if he was a big pinstriper back in the day, but he was from that era where pinstriping was really, really popular. Not saying it's not popular now, but it is. Like, it's a true art form, so there's not many people out there that can do it really, really well. So these brushes are really, really old. I can tell how, you know, they've been used. So like I said, I don't know how big into it he was or if he just dabbled in it, but for him to give me those, ship them to me and just say, hey, I want a demo piece out of it is pretty cool. So that's just something I probably won't show any of the pinstriping unless it's coming with a job. Unless you guys want to see that type of stuff, let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see me, you know, teach myself how to pinstripe, because it's pretty ugly. It's not anything to be proud of right now. But like I said, I can do this truck here that we're doing. These are all hand pinstripes. Like I said, it's not really even, like the messy look, all that stuff I can pull off pretty well as long as it's not just a normal pinstripe design that's on a vehicle. I can do it, but it just, I want to get it to where I'm really good at it and things look a lot cleaner and better. And I want to start doing like the designs that you may see. And you know, if like I said, some people aren't in tune with the pinstriping world. And I'm not talking about the pinstripes you put on cars, you know, if you buy a brand new car, not the vinyl pinstripe. This is all hand-done pinstripe by hand. And it takes a lot of years, a lot of time devoted to learn how to do this, because it is, like I said, once you lay that brush down with that paint, it's got to be pretty perfect. You got to know your symmetry really well. So it's just it's a different animal compared to what I'm usually doing. So it's just something I'm working on. I thought I'd show you guys that the beginning of this video. But we're going to jump on over to what I really wanted to show you guys, because I haven't been posting much of anything about this. My last video kind of was like a really sped up video. Last few actually were. So I want to show you guys the process, or how far in the process we are with this truck. I'm about 20, I think I'm like 21, just under short of 21 hours into this, from getting it in here, tearing it down to where it is right now. And I'm about maybe an hour and a half away from actually laying down paint. And if any of you know, once you lay paint down, it don't take long. The painting part of anything is the quickest, fastest, as long as you do it right. It's the taping up, all that prep work that takes the longest. So once we get this thing painted, it's going to be not for long where I'm going to be pinstriping it and then clear coating it. So things are going to start moving really fast from this point forward. But I want to show you guys just where this truck is at right now. Because like I said, I put a few hours into it off camera to get it to this point, and it's really close. And I'll explain to you what is kind of going on and what else I need to do to get it to that stage. So here it is. It is pretty much torn back down. I took the fenders off of it. They're laying over here and they're all taped up. The only thing on the fender that is getting painted is this end of this stripe, or the design, both sides. So they're pretty easy, but in order for me to get paint back in here, I need to take it off the truck. So I took it off. Always wrap everything up nice and clean. The hood is all taped up nice and clean. And then everything on the passenger side is all taped up. Everything is plastic, ready for paint. Like I said, the jams are all taped up, ready for paint. You can really see where paint's going to be going, kind of see more of the design to it. I've also went back through some of this design, some of the original design that's on this truck is going to be on top of it. So I went ahead and taped all that off. That took a little bit of effort, or a little bit of time, more effort than I thought it would, because it's from the drawing that I did on my computer. from laying it out on here, it changed a little bit, so I had to reevaluate how I was going to lay each graphic on top of each other and pick and choose what I really wanted to do, because a lot of these graphics are buried under so many different layers that I just had to pick the ones that would look aesthetically pleasing, if that makes any sense. So I've went and done that on both sides, all the jams, everything, moved the bed back, taped it all up. It's all nice and clean. But you can tell, you know, everything's gonna be wrapped around all the bed, everything, and all, like I said, all the artwork that's gonna be previously that was on here, that is gonna be laying on top, is already taped off. Now, where I've got to pick up is the gate. The gate I am not totally finished with. I've got about maybe 40-50 minutes left in laying the tape, because I'm not really happy with where the lines are on this. I mean, it's not bad, but I kind of want to make this section a little bit bigger right here. So I'm going to kind of shift that, and I'm going to redo a little bit of it. And some of this is going to go inside the tail lights and all that, the tailgate area. And I've got a little bit more design to actually add to it. So I pretty much left off from this corner right here. The other side's completely done, but I didn't want to finish this up, that since it's connected to the back of the gate just yet, because it's not totally in stone. So I kind of left it right there. So that's where I need to pick up at, is that area, but I'm not going to be able to finish that part of it until I finish what I want to do here, since this side is the side that connects to it, and this right here needs to be, I need to figure something out like in this area, because I like everything up here, but down here in this, like I said, this area I'm not really thrilled with. But you can see this side, how it comes back around, connects, and does its own thing. So yeah, it's coming along really well. You know, if you have done this stuff and you know what you're looking at, you might be asking why I didn't use like any type of paper mask. And what that is essentially paper with like a sticky masking on the back of it. I could have done it that way, I just didn't have any. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, it's like a piece of paper, but it's got sticky masking on the back of it, and you lay it and you squeegee it on, and then you cut your fine line out from that and just release it. That would have been really easier to do it that way, but in these jam areas, you kind of can't do it that way, because it's got to, with all these curves inside these jams, it's really hard to use that paper mask and get all these folds and all that stuff perfect. So you're gonna be using tape anyway. So I just use tape, and plus I have that stuff laying around. I don't order much of it, so a lot of guys will just do the whole side in it if you're just doing the outside. But with doing the jams and everything like that, I just use tape. You know, tape and plastic. I have that laying around, so it takes a little bit more time to do it that way. But paper mask is another way you can do it if you're wanting to do it that way. Does make things a little bit cleaner, but like I said, the only thing I have to do is the tailgate. In some of these areas of the design, we're going to be putting holes like they're like these back here. I'm making more of these plugs that are going to be going over before we add paint, and some of the areas of this design to kind of make it clash with what's already on there. And we're going to do the same way with the hood. So those are the only two things I got to do before I actually mixing the paint up and laying it down, because after I do that, I'm talking maybe an hour, 2 hours, this thing's going to be done. So it's going to go really quickly. And obviously there's two different colors here, so everything's going to get like a silver base coat. I might do it in white too, because it is a base coat, but silver takes a little bit more to cover. White just covers really easy. So I might do it in white, that way I'm not wasting a lot of paint. But there's two colors, so what I'll do is I'll base it either in that silver or white, and then I'll go back through, let it dry, go back through, and I'll mask off one design from another, because they are going to intermix on each other. They're going to go over top and underneath of each other, so I'm going to do one at a time because they're two different colors. So what we'll have to do is take some downtime from after that base coat and tape everything back up again, mask off what I need mask off, spray it, and then do the reverse mask for the other color. But that won't take too long. I mean, once I get rolling, I go pretty quick on this stuff, especially since this is hard part's already done. I mean, pretty much, it's not really hard, it's just really time consuming. You can see how much tape is involved with doing this stuff. And I still got to back mask some of the areas like underneath, that way the paint does not blow underneath and get overspray on the rear end or anything like that that's underneath of it. He's got lights that go on all the way underneath of this truck, so I need to back mask everything that's going to get painted. That way it's not overspray everywhere. But other than that, that's about the only things I need to do. It's going really, really quickly, so I'm going to jump into it and start messing with this tailgate area. That way we get this thing done, get this tailgate off of here, and finish masking up everything and get some paint laid on this thing. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you guys here. I might put you on a time lapse. So this is where I'm pretty much at right now. I've got half of it done, one half of the loop. It's going to be replicated on this side going the other way. It's going to be pretty much crossing in the middle of that triangle. Just want to show you guys the process right here. I'm going to replicate this one kind of hook just like I did the side of the truck and all the graphics. I've went ahead and already traced it. Now I've already pounced it as well, so I want to show you guys exactly, if you haven't seen that video of how I pounce things and make things transfer to the other side, you pretty much just trace it out and then you go through with the pounce wheel and you just follow your lines, and then you get chalk, you set it up, obviously flip it over, you set it up, you get some chalk and you pounce it, and it's got these little perforated holes. I don't know if you can see that, but they're really tiny little holes that pokes through the paper, and then it shows up on the surface. So I'm gonna go ahead, flip this over, get it set up, and get it pounced on there. So this took a lot longer than what I was thinking with having everything pretty much traced out and pounce it on there. I ended up pretty much getting it pretty solid, but you always have to go back through and you always have to measure certain areas that are going to need to be measured. I mean that by, you need to make sure everything's center from where you want it to be. You always got to measure. That's what all these little tapes I've got everywhere is my measurements. Just go back through and double check everything. Make sure it's exactly where it should be and needs to be. It just takes a little bit of effort and a little bit more time than what you would think, but it is now all centered up, nice and neat. Now take this in mind also, all these graphics are going to get pinstripes, so that's going to be added to the outer edge of all the graphics, and it's not going to be a clean pinstripe. It's going to be like that messy slash look that we had on some of the graphics on the side of the truck. So now what I need to do is pretty much go through everywhere and start cutting open these areas and then mask off the whole areas. One, take the gate off the truck, do the jams, because we got to do the jams inside of here, inside the gate. So I'm going to go through and do all that, and then I'll get back with you guys and show you everything that's all masked up. It's pretty much ready to be spray time at that point. I'm going to go through and re-clean everything, tack it off real good, and then I'm going to get some white in the gun. I think is what I'm going to use is white instead of silver, and just put probably 1.5 coats of white on there just to get it kind of covered, kind of like a sealer type, to get that new color on there with white. With it being white, it's going to get that rich color. Silver would do the same, but I honestly don't think I have enough silver to do this and all the other stuff, so I'm going to do it in white first and then go back over it. Since it is a base coat, white will be just fine. So but yeah, I'm going to get to this, cut it out, take the tailgate off, get it all pretty much masked off, and I'll get back to you. Try to go over this process of how I do my holes in the graphics, just like kind of see right here and this one. It's the same concept throughout the whole rest of the truck. I just pretty much, obviously it was in the drawing before, but I pretty much just kind of picked and choose where I thought it would look good and not just really totally overdo it. So I went around and I made measurements of the graphics where I wanted to put them, and then I narrowed it down to the sizes that they need to be in each area for it to look, you know, pleasing, and it makes it flow. Because you're gonna see what those are covering up is because when I get fully done with this, it's gonna get ripped off. You're gonna see all the way through to the graphics I've already previously done on the truck. So it makes it look like more than just a 2D, you know, it puts it as a 3D graphic. So I've got a plotter that I use. That's why all these holes are on here. I use FBS Gold Mask, and I just go in there and I type in my measurements, and it makes all this, and then I cut it out, and then I go around and hand lay each one by one. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. And right now, it's pretty much ready for that of that white that I'm gonna put down just for a layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing tacked off, cleaned up, and we're gonna start shooting some white paint on this thing because it really needs to dry, because I gotta go where I've cut out where it's big old open areas. When I do each color, I gotta go back in after the white is dry and pretty much kind of remask where the each graphic's gonna be. So I need the paint to dry for a while. Usually you wait about an hour, 2 hours to do it, but I'm just gonna wait overnight and then come in the next day and mask up, you know, the first color I wanna do. I wanna mask it up, and I'm gonna spray that color. So I'm gonna need to do that on the entire truck. So some of this, that's why it looks kind of crazy right now, is because I've opened up everything. There's pretty much nothing blocking where the paint's gonna go. That's why it doesn't look like, it just looks like one big graphic when it's actually two. So I'm gonna go through and have to mask off every little area. My thinking is I'm gonna do the simple graphic first, because I'm gonna have to back mask it. Back masking just means I'm gonna have to cover it up when I do the second graphic, which is this big one that covers the majority of the truck. So that's my thinking of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up, like I said, and get ready to spray some white on there. So I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. It's not, you know, it's gonna be pretty, it looks gonna look pretty crazy until we get some color on it, but I just want to show you guys this process of how I go through. It is pretty time consuming. From this video forward, I think I've got about 2 or 3 hours in it, just in, you know, masking and final masking and getting things totally ready to put that paint on it. Because when you put this, when you go through and you're ready for your paint, you want to make sure everything is nice and tight. You want to make sure no tape is lifting off. If it is, fix it before you put any paint down. If I do have any bleed throughs that are a little bit small, these graphics, like I said, are getting pinstripe. So if I can cover it up with the pinstripe, that's good. If not, the truck is already clear coated from before, so I can go back through and wipe it with lacquer thinner to get that kind of bleed through off, which makes it really, really nice, because I don't have to be so picky. But I'm still trying to be picky because I don't want to do a lot of cleanup when I'm done with this. So take your time, go through it, make sure everything is the way it needs to be before you start laying color of any sort down. And then, like I said, you'll just have less cleanup in the end, because this whole idea is just to keep moving forward, not to go backwards every time you do something. So, like I said, I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to get my suit on, mix some paint up, and we're going to get some paint on this thing. Just got done spraying the white base coat. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Doesn't look like much, just to warn you. I took 3 coats to cover. One would have done it, but the yellow pinstripe, for some reason, it was so hard to cover it with the white that it took 3 coats to cover it. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, nothing really crazy, not right now. This is just to get it back to a solid color, because like I said, that yellow by itself, that pinstripe yellow that's on the truck, it just kept on wanting to bleed through the white. So I'm glad I did this first, because now I don't have to put 8 million coats of color of each of the color on there just to cover what was there. And that's kind of how, it's a little trick of how you minimize your quantity of paint that you're mixing and spraying is get a good base on there, whether you have a color that's close to what you're going to put on there, or you know, you got some white or whatever. I use white just because white, when you put white behind a color, especially something that's really bright, it just gives it that richness of that color comes out. Silver does the same thing, but silver I mainly use just for candies. So that's just a little trick. If you're having trouble covering something and you're just putting coats and coats and coats on, one, make sure you get the right value shade of sealer on it, and two, make sure you know you're making sure that your base is going to be good enough. That way you're not just sitting there pounding paint on. Because what happens is, if I would just put the color on here, it would probably take a lot of coats. I don't know, because I haven't sprayed these colors before. They're both custom colors that I've mixed up. I haven't sprayed them yet, so I don't know how many coats. One's a yellow, and if you're painting and you know anything about yellows, yellows take forever to color or to cover. Whatever it is, it's just really transparent. This one's got like a green shimmer pearl in it, so I don't know if it's just like a straight yellow or if it's got something else in it, but it is a custom color, so hopefully it's not like original yellow, because yellows are really hard to cover. So you always want to put like a good base down for those colors, and that just goes from years of painting many different colors. But yellow is the worst to try to cover. You'll spend so much money and time on, you know, spraying coat after coat. Usually it takes about 8 to 12 coats just to cover, for yellow to be fully covered. And if you had something underneath of it like a white, you might cut that down to like 5 or 4 or something like that. So it really helps the millage for one. This, I don't care about the millage. I mean, you want to care about how much paint you're putting on, because you don't want that full buildup, especially if you got to clear it. You're going to have really thick paint lines you have to cover. This one's getting all pinstripe, so I'm going to have to worry about covering the pinstripe. The pinstripe paint is a lot thicker than what this is going to be when I rip the tape off of it. But yeah, that's just how it goes on some of these colors. You just don't know until you start spraying them. So it's a little trick. If you don't know that already, now you do. So yeah, I'm going to let this flash off. I'm going to kick the heat back on, and then when I get off work tomorrow, this will definitely be dry by then. This will be dry within a couple hours, to where you can fully touch it. And if you really wanted to, you could tape on it, but I'm not going to come back out here in a couple hours. It's already pretty late, so I'm going to end the video here, and then we'll pick up on how to, not really a how to, but showing you guys how I'm going to divide each of these colors and how I'm going to tape it off, and all the custom, because it's not going to be just spraying the color and go. There's going to be some texture effects inside of these two graphics, so there's a little bit of custom going on with it, so stay tuned for that. But I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, and then comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. But I'll see you on the next one.